Jasmine Brooks stood in her own hallway, hand frozen on the bedroom doorknob, listening to a phone conversation that would destroy everything she thought she knew about her marriage. Her husband Marcus's voice drifted through the crack in the door, smooth, confident, the same voice that had whispered, "I love you," that morning before she left for work. But now he was saying something completely different. "Baby, I know, I hate lying to her too, but it won't be much longer. Once I move the money into the offshore account, I'll file for divorce. Then we can finally be together, you, me, and our future." Jasmine's heart stopped. Our future? What future? She'd come home early from Peterson Marketing because she forgot an important client presentation file. The house should have been empty. Marcus said he'd be at his financial consulting office all day. But his black Mercedes was in the driveway, parked right next to a silver Honda that Jasmine recognized immediately. Rochelle Hayes's car, their neighbor from 3 houses down. Rochelle, who Jasmine had invited to their summer barbecue. Rochelle, whose garden Jasmine had complimented just last weekend. Rochelle, who was married to Trevor, the construction manager who'd helped Marcus fix their fence last spring. And now she was hearing Marcus plan her betrayal like it was a business transaction. "Rochelle, stop worrying," Marcus continued, his voice softening in a way that made Jasmine's stomach turn. "Jasmine doesn't suspect a thing. She's so focused on her little marketing projects, she barely notices what I do anymore." Little marketing projects. Jasmine's hand tightened on the doorknob. She just landed the biggest account of her career. The Daniels Corporation deal worth $3 million that would make her a senior director. 6 months of late nights, presentations, negotiations, proving herself against 5 competing firms. And he called it a little project. "I've been moving money for 3 months now," Marcus said. "Another 2 months and I'll have enough secured that she can't touch it in the divorce. My lawyer says if I'm smart about it, she'll walk away with almost nothing. Maybe the house if I'm feeling generous." The cold calculation in his voice made Jasmine's blood run ice cold. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just betrayal. This was theft. This was fraud. This was a man systematically planning to destroy her financially while pretending to love her every single day. "I already transferred another $15,000 yesterday," Marcus continued. "Jasmine's so trusting, she never even checks the accounts. She thinks I handle all the finances because I'm good at it. She has no idea I've been bleeding our savings dry for months." A bitter laugh. "By the time she figures it out, the money will be safe and untouchable. We'll be in the Bahamas, baby, just like we planned." The Bahamas. They'd always talked about going to the Bahamas together, Jasmine and Marcus, their dream vacation that they were supposedly saving for. Except apparently Marcus was saving for it, just not with her. "Meet me at the apartment in an hour," Marcus said, his voice dropping to something intimate. "I miss you. I can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore, until I can wake up next to you every morning instead of her." The apartment. He had an apartment. How many lies had he told? How deep did this betrayal go? Jasmine's hand trembled on the doorknob. Every instinct screamed at her to burst through that door right now, to confront him, to scream and cry and demand answers, to make him look her in the eyes and admit what he'd done. But something stopped her. Maybe it was the ice-cold fury replacing the shock. Maybe it was 8 years of being a strategic marketing director, always thinking 3 steps ahead, always planning the perfect campaign. Or maybe it was pure survival instinct. If Marcus was moving money and planning to leave her with nothing, confronting him now would only put him on alert. He'd hide the evidence, cover his tracks, move the money somewhere she'd never find it. And she'd be left with nothing but tears, rage, and an empty bank account. No. If Marcus wanted to play games, Jasmine would play too. But she'd play to win. She pulled the door closed silently. Hearing the latch click so softly Marcus would never know she'd been there. Then she walked back down the hallway on trembling legs, past the living room with its cream-colored furniture they'd picked out together, past the family photos on the walls showing them smiling at beaches and holidays and their wedding day. All lies now, every single image a carefully constructed facade. She made it to her car before the first tear fell, just one. She wiped it away angrily and forced herself to breathe. In, out, in, out. She needed to think, she needed a plan. And she needed help from someone she could trust absolutely. Jasmine pulled out her phone with shaking hands and called the one person who'd never let her down. "Girl, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting right now?" Kiara Johnson's cheerful voice filled the car, warm and familiar. "The big Daniels presentation." "Kai, I need you," Jasmine said, her voice shaking despite her best efforts to stay calm. "Something's happened, something bad. Can you come to my house right now?" The cheerfulness vanished instantly, replaced by sharp concern. "What happened? Are you hurt? Did someone—" "I'm not hurt, not physically. But Kai, I need you, please. I'm leaving my office right now. 10 minutes, don't move." Jasmine drove around the block 3 times, giving Marcus time to leave for his appointment with Rochelle. She watched from a distance as his black Mercedes backed out of the driveway, followed 30 seconds later by Rochelle's silver Honda. They weren't even trying to hide it. They were that confident Jasmine was too stupid to notice. That thought fueled the cold anger building in her chest. When she finally pulled back into her driveway, both cars were gone. The house looked peaceful, normal, like it always did. But nothing would ever be normal again. Jasmine went inside and poured herself a glass of water with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. She tried to hold the glass steady, but water sloshed over the rim. The house felt different now, tainted, poisoned. Every surface, every piece of furniture, every photo on the wall, all of it felt like a lie. How long had this been going on? How many times had Marcus kissed her goodbye and driven straight to Rochelle? How many late nights at the office had actually been spent in that apartment she didn't even know existed? Kiara's car screeched into the driveway 8 minutes later. She burst through the front door like a storm, her brown eyes sharp with concern, her hair pulled back in the professional bun she wore to her paralegal job. "What happened?" Kiara demanded, scanning Jasmine from head to toe like she was checking for injuries. "Are you okay? Did something happen at work? Did Marcus—" "Marcus is cheating on me," Jasmine said. The words felt strange in her mouth. "Foreign, wrong, with Rochelle Hayes, our neighbor." Kiara's mouth fell open. For 3 full seconds she just stared. Then, Rochelle, the blonde woman with the fake smile who brought that terrible potato salad to your barbecue, the one who's married to the construction guy. "That's the one." That basic, boring, bland. Kiara stopped herself, taking a deep breath. Okay, tell me everything. How did you find out?" Jasmine told her, the forgotten file, coming home early, the phone conversation she'd overheard through the bedroom door, the offshore accounts, the apartment, the systematic theft of their money, the plan to leave her broke. With each word, Kiara's expression grew darker, her hands clenched into fists, her jaw tightened. That lying, cheating, stealing piece of— Kiara stopped herself again, clearly struggling to control her rage. Okay, we need to think strategically here. You can't let him know that you know. Not yet." "That's exactly what I was thinking." Kiara started packing, her paralegal training kicking into high gear. "First thing, you need to document everything. Bank statements, credit card records, any financial documents you can access. If he's moving money, there'll be a paper trail. There's always a paper trail." "I have access to all our accounts," Jasmine said. "Joint checking, savings, investment accounts, everything." "Good, pull all the statements from the last 6 months. Look for anything unusual. Large transfers, new accounts opened, weird charges, anything that doesn't match your spending patterns. They spent the next 2 hours sitting at Jasmine's kitchen table, going through financial records on her laptop. With every new discovery, Jasmine felt sicker. Over the past 4 months, Marcus had systematically withdrawn over $63,000 from their joint savings account. Not all at once, that would have triggered alerts, but in increments small enough that Jasmine, who trusted him completely to handle their finances, hadn't noticed. 5,000 here, 8,000 there, 3,000, 7,000. Death by 1,000 cuts. The money had been transferred to an account Jasmine had never seen before. An account in Marcus's name only at a bank they didn't normally use. "Look at this," Kiara said, pointing at the laptop screen with barely contained fury. "Restaurant charges. Bella Rosa, the Capitol Grill, Skyline Bistro, Morton's Steakhouse. These are expensive places, Jasmine. Did you go to any of these restaurants with him?" "No," Jasmine said, feeling sick to her stomach. "I've never even heard of half of them." "He's been taking her to the most expensive restaurants in the city," Kiara said grimly. "On your dime, using money from your joint account. What else?" More digging revealed hotel charges from the past 8 months. The Ritz-Carlton, the Peninsula, the Four Seasons, all charged to their joint credit card. An apartment lease in Marcus's name only for a luxury building downtown, $2,000 a month. Jewelry store purchases from Cartier and Tiffany's that Jasmine had never received. Charges from Victoria's Secret and La Perla. Expensive lingerie that Jasmine had definitely never worn. "He spent over $70,000, Jasmine whispered, staring at the numbers on the screen. $70,000 of our money on his affair. And tried to hide it from you so he could divorce you and leave you broke," Kiara added, her voice hard. "Girl, we need to get you the best divorce lawyer in the city. Like yesterday, someone who will destroy him." Jasmine pulled up Google on her laptop and started researching. Top-rated divorce attorneys in Chicago. She needed someone ruthless, someone with a reputation for winning, someone who wouldn't accept anything less than total victory. She clicked through several websites before finding exactly what she needed. Attorney Diane Mitchell. 5-star reviews across every platform, 30 years of experience. Known for winning big in high-asset divorces, especially when infidelity and financial fraud were involved. The reviews all said the same thing: ruthless, strategic, gets results. Made my ex regret everything. Perfect. Her retainer is $15,000, Jasmine said, clicking through to the contact page. Worth every single penny if she can get back what Marcus stole and then some, Kiara said firmly. Call her, right now. Jasmine dialed the number with steady hands. The shock was wearing off, replaced by cold, calculated determination. The receptionist answered on the second ring. "Mitchell Law Associates, how may I help you?" "I need to speak with Attorney Mitchell about a divorce," Jasmine said. "It's urgent. My husband has been stealing marital assets and hiding money in preparation for leaving me." There was a brief pause. "I see. Let me check her schedule. This does sound urgent. Can you come in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.? "I'll be there." "Perfect. I'll need some basic information." After providing her details and hanging up, Jasmine felt something shift inside her chest. The shock was fading. The hurt was transforming into something sharper, colder. Rage, but not the hot, explosive kind that made you scream and break things. The cold, calculated kind that made you plan. That made you strategic. That made you dangerous. Marcus thought he was so smart. Moving money, planning his exit, treating her like she was too stupid, too trusting, too focused on her little projects to notice. He had no idea what was coming for him. That evening, Marcus came home around 7:30. Jasmine was in the kitchen, cooking spaghetti and meatballs, his favorite, acting completely normal. "Hey babe," Marcus said, walking up behind her and kissing her cheek like he always did. Like he hadn't spent the afternoon with his mistress. Like he wasn't systematically stealing their money. "Sorry I'm late. Client meeting ran long. You know how it is." Lies, all lies. Jasmine smiled at him, actually smiled. "No problem, dinner's almost ready. How was your day?" "Busy, quarter-end coming up, so everyone's panicking about their portfolios." He loosened his tie, checking his phone with a small smile that made Jasmine want to throw the pot of boiling pasta water in his face. Was he texting Rochelle right now, reading her messages, planning their next meeting at their apartment? "How was your day?" Marcus asked, pouring himself a glass of wine. "The Big Daniel's presentation was today, right? How'd it go?" "It went great," Jasmine lied smoothly. She'd actually completely forgotten about the presentation in the chaos of discovering his betrayal. She'd have to reschedule it. "They loved everything. I think we've got the account." "That's my girl," Marcus said, pulling her into a hug. "I knew you'd nail it. You're brilliant, Jas, absolutely brilliant." The compliment that would have made her glow with happiness yesterday now made her want to vomit. But she hugged him back, smiled, played the role of loving, trusting wife. Because that's what this was now, a performance, a game. And Jasmine was going to be the best actress Marcus had ever seen. They ate dinner together at their kitchen table, talking about nothing important. Marcus complimented her cooking, asked about her coworkers, told her a funny story about a client who'd panicked over a minor stock dip. He was good, she had to give him that. He was a really, really good liar. But Jasmine was better. After dinner, Marcus went to the living room to watch a basketball game. Jasmine cleaned the kitchen, loaded the dishwasher, wiped down the counters. Normal evening routine. Nothing to suggest anything had changed. But everything had changed. As she stood at the sink, watching Marcus through the doorway, laughing at something on TV, she wondered who he really was. The man she'd married 8 years ago. Or had that man ever existed? Had she fallen in love with a carefully constructed mask? It didn't matter now. The man she'd loved was gone, if he'd ever been real at all. Now there was only Marcus the liar, Marcus the thief, Marcus the cheater who thought he was smarter than everyone else. And Jasmine was going to take him apart piece by piece. The next morning, Jasmine woke at 5 a.m., her internal alarm clock refusing to let her sleep. Marcus was still asleep beside her, snoring softly, one arm flung over his face. How many mornings had she woken up next to him and felt lucky, grateful, happy? Now she just felt disgust. She waited until his breathing was deep and even, that specific rhythm that meant he was fully asleep. Then slowly, carefully, she reached across him and picked up his phone from the nightstand. Her heart pounded in her chest. If he woke up now, how would she explain this? But he didn't wake up. His phone unlocked easily. The password was their anniversary date. How ironic, how perfectly, bitterly ironic. She opened his messages, and her stomach dropped straight through the floor. Hundreds of texts to a contact saved as R going back 8 months. 8 entire months of lies. The messages were explicit, romantic, full of promises about their future together and bitter complaints about Jasmine. She's so boring now. All she cares about is work. She's not fun anymore. I can't wait until I don't have to pretend anymore. Until I can just be with you. You're everything she's not. Exciting, spontaneous, alive. You make me feel young again. Tonight was perfect. I wish I didn't have to go home to her. Can't wait until it's permanent. Each message was a knife between Jasmine's ribs, but she didn't let herself cry. Didn't let herself feel. Instead, she did something smarter. She forwarded every single message to her own phone. Every single one. Then she went through his photo gallery and found pictures she'd never seen before. Pictures he'd kept hidden in a locked folder. Marcus and Rochelle at expensive restaurants, candlelight making them both glow. Marcus and Rochelle at what must be their apartment, his arm around her waist. Marcus and Rochelle at a beach somewhere tropical, her in a bikini, him without his wedding ring. She sent all of it to herself. Every photo, every text, evidence. Then she carefully placed his phone back on the nightstand in the exact position. She'd found it and went to take a shower. When she came out, toweling her hair dry, Marcus was awake and checking his phone. Jasmine watched him through the doorway, watched his fingers scrolling through messages, probably checking to see if Rochelle had texted him overnight. "Morning," Jasmine said brightly, walking into the bedroom wrapped in her towel. Marcus looked up and smiled, that same loving smile she'd trusted for 8 years. "Morning, babe, sleep well." "Like a baby, you." "Great, hey, big day for you, right? Rescheduling that Daniels presentation." "Yep, wish me luck." "You don't need luck," Marcus said, getting out of bed and kissing her forehead. "You're brilliant, you're going to crush it." The compliment was meaningless, hollow, but Jasmine smiled anyway. "Thanks, babe." She got dressed in her best business suit, a sharp navy blue number that made her feel powerful, applied her makeup carefully, professional, put together, successful. The woman looking back at her from the mirror was someone Marcus had underestimated, someone he thought he could deceive and discard. He was about to learn exactly how wrong he was. At 8:45, Jasmine walked into the offices of Mitchell Law Associates downtown. The building was all glass and steel, modern and expensive, the kind of place that screamed success. The reception area was elegant, cream leather furniture, abstract art on the walls, a receptionist who looked up with a professional smile. "Jasmine Brooks." "That's me." "Right this way. Attorney Mitchell is expecting you." Attorney Diane Mitchell was exactly what Jasmine hoped she'd be. 60 years old with silver hair cut in a sharp bob, gray eyes that missed nothing, and the demeanor of someone who'd seen every trick in the book and won anyway. "Mrs. Brooks," she said, shaking Jasmine's hand with a grip like iron. "Please sit down, tell me everything." Jasmine did. She told her about coming home early, the phone conversation she'd overheard, the financial records she'd found showing systematic theft, the text messages and photos she'd forwarded from Marcus's phone that morning, the affair with their neighbor, the apartment, the restaurants, the jewelry, all of it. Attorney Mitchell listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad with precise handwriting. When Jasmine finished, the lawyer sat back in her leather chair and smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a shark that had just spotted blood in the water. "Mrs. Brooks, your husband has made several critical mistakes. First, he used marital funds, joint accounts to support his affair. That's called dissipation of marital assets, and judges absolutely hate it. Second, he attempted to hide assets in preparation for divorce. That's fraud. Third, he was stupid enough to document everything digitally where you could find it." "Can we use all of this?" Jasmine asked, leaning forward. "Absolutely. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, which means you don't need to prove wrongdoing to get divorced. But evidence of dissipation, spending marital money on an affair, is absolutely relevant to property division. And if we can prove he was deliberately hiding money to defraud you in the divorce, that's even better for us." "What should I do now?" "Nothing," Attorney Mitchell said firmly. "And I mean nothing. You act completely normal. You don't confront him. You don't let him know you know anything. You don't change your routine. You keep being the loving, trusting wife he thinks you are." "Why?" "Because right now he thinks he's in control. He thinks you're clueless. That makes him sloppy. If you confront him now, he'll panic. He'll move money faster. He'll hide things better. He'll delete evidence. We want him confident and careless." Attorney Mitchell leaned forward. "Meanwhile, my team will conduct a full financial investigation. We'll subpoena bank records. We'll trace every dollar he moved. We'll find every account, every hidden asset, every penny he tried to steal. And And then, Jasmine prompted, then we file for divorce and take him for everything he's worth. Jasmine felt fierce satisfaction settle in her chest like armor. How much is your retainer? $15,000. But based on what you've told me, Mrs. Brooks, I expect to recover far more than that for you. Significantly more. Jasmine wrote the check without hesitation. Her hand didn't shake. This was an investment in her future, a future without Marcus. One more thing, Attorney Mitchell said as Jasmine stood to leave. Do you know if the other betrayed spouse, Mr. Hayes, is aware of the affair? I don't think so. You might want to inform him. Witnesses are valuable, and a man who discovers his wife has been cheating tends to be very cooperative in legal proceedings. Jasmine nodded slowly. Trevor Hayes, she'd have to call him. That conversation wouldn't be pleasant, but necessary. As she left the law office and stepped out into the bright morning sunshine, Jasmine's phone rang. Marcus. Hey babe, just checking in. How are you feeling about the presentation today? The presentation, right. She'd have to actually reschedule it. Feeling good, Jasmine lied smoothly. Really good about it. That's my girl. Hey, I'm going to be late tonight. Another client meeting, don't wait up. Another lie. He was probably meeting Rachel. No problem, Jasmine said. I'll probably have dinner with Kiara anyway. Sounds good, love you. The words made her want to scream, but she kept her voice steady, sweet, normal. Love you too. She ended the call and stood there on the sidewalk, people rushing past her on their way to work, the city humming with morning energy. Love you too. The biggest lie of all. But that was okay, because Marcus had taught her something valuable over the past 24 hours. He taught her that she was a much better liar than he'd ever be. And she was going to use that skill to destroy him. That evening, after a long day of actually rescheduling her presentation and working on the Daniels account, Jasmine did something she'd been dreading. She called Trevor Hayes. He answered on the third ring, his voice friendly and unsuspecting. Hello. Trevor, it's Jasmine Brooks from down the street. Do you have a few minutes? I need to talk to you about something important. Trevor Hayes sat in his pickup truck outside Jasmine's house, his calloused hands gripping the steering wheel, his mind racing with questions. When Jasmine had called him the night before asking to meet, her voice had been strange, tight, controlled, like she was holding back something explosive. I need to show you something, she'd said. Something about Rachel and Marcus. Can you come by tomorrow after work, around 6? Now it was 5:58, and Trevor was sitting in his truck trying to prepare himself for whatever was coming. He'd known something was off with Rachel for months now. The way she was always on her phone, texting and smiling. The new clothes she'd been buying despite them being tight on money. The perfume that smelled expensive. The late nights she claimed were book club meetings. Book club, right. Trevor wasn't stupid. He'd just been hopping he was wrong. At exactly 6 p.m., he knocked on Jasmine's door. She opened it immediately like she'd been waiting. Her face was calm, composed, but her eyes were hard, determined. Trevor, thank you for coming. Please come in. He followed her inside, nodding that Marcus's car wasn't in the driveway. Is Marcus here? No, he's at a client meeting. The way she said it with those little air quotes told Trevor everything he needed to know. His stomach dropped. Jasmine, what's going on? Sit down, she said, gesturing to the couch. I'm going to show you something, and I'm really sorry you have to see it, but you deserve to know the truth. Trevor sat. His heart was pounding now, dread settling into his bones. Jasmine pulled out her phone and sat beside him, not too close, giving him space. 2 days ago, I came home early from work. I overheard Marcus on a phone call. He was talking to Rachel. Trevor's jaw clenched. What kind of phone call? The kind where they talked about their future together. About how Marcus was moving money so I couldn't touch it when he divorced me. About meeting at their apartment. Their apartment. The words hit Trevor like a physical blow. How long? Based on what I found, at least 8 months, maybe longer. 8 months, almost a year of lies. I have proof, Jasmine said quietly. Text messages, photos. I'm showing you because you have a right to know. And because, she paused, I think we can help each other. She handed him the phone. Trevor looked at the screen and felt his world crack apart. Text messages between Marcus and R, hundreds of them. Explicit, romantic, planning their future like Trevor and Jasmine didn't even exist. Then photos. Marcus and Rochelle at restaurants Trevor couldn't afford. Marcus and Rochelle at some tropical beach. Marcus and Rochelle at an apartment Trevor had never seen. Rochelle wearing lingerie that definitely wasn't from Target. His hands started shaking. That son of a... I know, Jasmine said softly. Believe me, I know. Trevor scrolled through more messages, each one a knife to his chest. Rochelle complaining about him, calling him boring, saying Marcus made her feel alive, saying she couldn't wait to leave Trevor behind. 5 years of marriage. 5 years of working 60-hour weeks to provide for her. 5 years of thinking they were building something together. All lies. When did you find out? Trevor asked, his voice rough. 2 days ago. I hired a divorce lawyer yesterday, attorney Diane Mitchell. Trevor looked up sharply. He knew that name. One of his construction crew had used her in his divorce, said she was ruthless but effective, expensive too. I'm filing for divorce, Jasmine continued. And I'm going after everything Marcus tried to steal from me, every penny he spent on his affair, the money he tried to hide, all of it. Good, Trevor said, meaning it. What do you need from me? A witness, someone who can testify about what they did. And she hesitated. I thought you might want the same kind of justice I'm getting. Trevor handed back her phone and stood up, packing to the window. His reflection stared back at him, and he barely recognized the man he saw. Tired, betrayed, angry. But not broken, not yet. I can't afford a lawyer like Mitchell, he admitted. Construction pays okay, but not that okay. Attorney Mitchell has a colleague, Jasmine said. James Peterson. He handles cases like yours. His rates are more reasonable, I already asked. Trevor turned to look at her. You asked about a lawyer for me. We're in this together, Trevor. They did this to both of us. Why shouldn't we work together to make them pay? Smart, she was smart. Trevor had always known Jasmine was sharp. You didn't become a marketing director by being dumb, but he was seeing her in a new light now. Calculated, strategic, dangerous. He liked it. What's your plan? He asked. We document everything. We don't let them know we know. We let them think they're getting away with it. And then when we have all the evidence we need, we take them down. Both of them. Legally, financially, completely. Trevor thought about it for maybe 3 seconds. I'm in. What do I need to do? If you're loving Jasmine's strategic revenge and want to see how she and Trevor take down their cheating spouses, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. What comes next is going to blow your mind. These two are about to become the deadliest team their spouses never saw coming. Over the next 2 weeks, Jasmine and Trevor became unlikely allies. They met for coffee twice a week at a shop across town where nobody they knew would see them. They compared notes, shared evidence, coordinated their strategies. Trevor, it turned out, had his own evidence to contribute. Credit card statements showing Rochelle had been spending money they didn't have. Cash withdrawals that she claimed were for household expenses, but never materialized into anything useful. Her phone records showing thousands of texts to a number Trevor now knew was Marcus's private cell. I thought she was just bad with money, Trevor admitted during one of their coffee meetings. I didn't realize she was spending it on another man. Marcus has been stealing from our joint accounts for months, Jasmine said. My lawyer found over $70,000 he's moved or spent on Rochelle. Trevor choked on his coffee. 70,000. Restaurants, hotels, jewelry, the apartment. He even bought her a Cartier bracelet. $5,000. I never got anything from Cartier. Rochelle came home with a new bracelet about 2 months ago, Trevor said slowly. She said it was a gift from her sister. Probably the same bracelet. They sat in angry silence for a moment. How are you staying so calm? Trevor asked finally. If I were alone in a room with Marcus right now, I don't know what I'd do. I'm not calm, Jasmine admitted. I'm furious, but rage doesn't help me win. Strategy does. Attorney Mitchell taught me that. Smart woman. The smartest. She's building an airtight case against Marcus. Every transaction traced. Every lie documented. By the time she's done, he won't be able to hide a single penny. Trevor nodded. James Peterson is doing the same for me. Says Rochelle's spending is evidence of financial irresponsibility. Might help me get a better settlement. Good, they don't get to destroy our lives and walk away unscathed. At home, Jasmine continued her performance as the loving, clueless wife. She kissed Marcus goodbye every morning, made his favorite dinners, asked about his day, laughed at his jokes, pretended everything was perfectly normal. It was the hardest acting job of her life. Especially the nights when Marcus claimed he had to work late and Jasmine knew he was with Rochelle. Those nights, she'd go to Kiara's house and rage and cry and let out all the emotions she couldn't show at home. I don't know how you do it, Kiara said one evening, pouring them both wine. I'd have set his clothes on fire by now. Because burning his clothes doesn't get me what I want, Jasmine said. It just makes me feel better for 5 minutes. I want him destroyed legally, financially, publicly. That takes time and patience. How much longer? Attorney Mitchell says another 3 weeks. Then we'll have everything we need to file. Marcus, meanwhile, was getting sloppy. He stayed out later, made less effort to hide his phone, stopped being as careful about the lies he told. One night he came home smelling like perfume that definitely wasn't Jasmine's. She said nothing, just made a note of the date and time. Evidence. Another night, he claimed he was going to a business conference in Atlanta for 3 days. Jasmine checked their credit card statements after he left and found charges from a resort in the Bahamas. The Bahamas, the trip they were supposedly saving for together. He'd taken Rochelle instead. Jasmine forwarded all the evidence to Attorney Mitchell and went to work like nothing was wrong. At the office, things were going surprisingly well. The Daniels Corporation presentation had been rescheduled and was a massive success. They'd signed the contract, $3 million over 2 years. Jasmine's boss, Patricia Henderson, called her into the office with good news. The board is impressed with the Daniels deal, Patricia said, smiling. We'd like to offer you the senior director position, 20% raise, full benefits, corner office. A promotion, right in the middle of her personal disaster. I accept, Jasmine said without hesitation. Thank you, Patricia. You've earned it. Your work has been exceptional, especially given, Patricia paused delicately, everything else you're dealing with. Jasmine looked up sharply. You know. I've been doing this a long time, Jasmine. I can tell when someone's going through something difficult, but you haven't let it affect your work. That's impressive. My marriage might be falling apart, Jasmine said, but my career isn't. I won't let him take that from me too. Patricia nodded approvingly. Good, that's the right attitude. The promotion came with a substantial raise. Jasmine immediately opened a new bank account in her name only and had her paycheck redirected to it. Marcus didn't notice. He was too busy planning his exit to pay attention to what Jasmine was doing. Big mistake. 3 weeks after Trevor learned the truth, Jasmine got the call she'd been waiting for. Mrs. Brooks, it's Attorney Mitchell. We have everything we need. It's time to file. Jasmine's heart raced. Everything. Everything. My investigators traced every dollar Marcus moved. We found the offshore account. He transferred $45,000 to a bank in the Cayman Islands. We have documentation of every expense he charged to your joint accounts for his affair. The apartment lease, the hotels, the restaurants, the jewelry. All of it. What about the text messages? Those too. Plus, we subpoenaed his cell phone records and found thousands of calls and texts to Rochelle's number. There's no way he can deny this. When do we file? Tomorrow morning. But Mrs. Brooks, you need to understand, once we file, everything changes. Marcus will be served with divorce papers. He'll know you know. He'll probably panic. Things might get ugly. I'm ready, Jasmine said. I've been ready. Good. One more thing. We need to freeze your joint accounts immediately before he can move any more money. I'll have the paperwork filed this afternoon. After hanging up, Jasmine sat in her car outside her office building and let herself feel the weight of what was coming. Tomorrow, the war would begin. She called Trevor. It's happening tomorrow. My lawyer's filing tomorrow too, Trevor said. We coordinated. How are you feeling? Scared, angry, ready, all of it. Same. That night, Jasmine cooked Marcus's favorite meal one last time. Steak, garlic mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables. She opened an expensive bottle of wine, set the table with their nice dishes. Marcus came home around 7, surprised by the spread. What's all this? Just wanted to do something nice, Jasmine said, smiling. We haven't had a proper dinner together in weeks. You're amazing, you know that, Marcus said, kissing her cheek. I don't deserve you. Finally, something true. They ate dinner making small talk. Marcus told her about his day, probably lies. Jasmine told him about her promotion, the truth, because she'd earned that herself. Senior director, babe, that's incredible. Marcus raised his wine glass. To your success. To success, Jasmine echoed, clinking her glass against his. She watched him drink and eat and smile, knowing this was the last peaceful moment he'd have for a long time. After dinner, Marcus went to watch TV while Jasmine cleaned up. As she loaded the dishwasher, her phone buzzed. Attorney Mitchell, everything's ready. Papers will be served at his office at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Joint accounts frozen as of 9 a.m. Good luck. Jasmine allowed herself a small smile. Tomorrow, Marcus Sullivan's carefully constructed world would come crashing down. And she would be there to watch. The next morning, Jasmine woke early and got ready for work with extra care. She wore her best suit, a sharp black number that made her feel powerful. She applied her makeup perfectly, professional armor for the battle ahead. Marcus was still asleep when she left the house at 7 a.m. She didn't kiss him goodbye. At 8:45, Jasmine sat in her office nursing a cup of coffee, waiting. Her phone was on the desk in front of her. Any minute now. At 9 a.m., the joint accounts were frozen. Marcus wouldn't know yet. He was probably in his office, checking emails, drinking coffee, completely unaware. At 9:30, Kiara texted, "Today's the day, you've got this." At 9:45, Trevor called. Rochelle just got served at her sister's place. She called me crying. I didn't answer. Good, stay strong. At 10 a.m. exactly, Jasmine's phone rang. Marcus. She let it ring 4 times before answering. Hello. Jasmine. Marcus's voice was tight, panicked. What the hell is going on? I just got served with divorce papers at my office in front of my coworkers. Oh, Jasmine kept her voice neutral. That must be embarrassing. What are you doing? We can talk about this. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. There's nothing to fix, Marcus. It's over. Over? What are you talking about? Jasmine, please, we need to talk about this. We're done talking. My lawyer will handle everything from now on. Your lawyer, Jasmine, you can't just. The accounts are frozen. I can't access our money. You mean the money you were systematically stealing? The $70,000 you spent on your affair. That money. Dead silence. Then you know. I know everything, Marcus. The affair with Rochelle, the apartment, the offshore account in the Caymans, the jewelry you bought her, every lie you told, every dollar you stole. I know all of it. More silence. She could almost hear him scrambling, trying to figure out how much she actually knew, how much was a bluff. How long have you known? He asked finally. Long enough. Long enough to hire the best divorce attorney in Chicago. Long enough to document everything. Long enough to build a case that's going to destroy you. Jasmine, please, we can work this out. I made a mistake, but 8 months isn't a mistake, Marcus. $70,000 isn't a mistake. Planning to leave me broke isn't a mistake. Those are choices. You made your choices. Now you live with the consequences. You're going to regret this. The threat in his voice should have scared her. Instead, it made her angry. No, Marcus, you're going to regret this. You thought I was too trusting, too focused on my little marketing projects to notice what you were doing. You underestimated me. That was your biggest mistake. She hung up. Her hands were shaking, adrenaline flooding her system, but she also felt lighter, freer. The secret was out. The war had begun. And Jasmine was ready. Things are about to get intense. Marcus knows he's caught, and desperate people do desperate things. What's he going to do next? How will Rochelle react? And what's Jasmine's next move? If you're invested in this story, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me what you think Marcus will do now, and make sure you're subscribed because episode 3 is going to be explosive. Within an hour, Jasmine's phone was blowing up. Marcus called 6 more times. She didn't answer. He sent text after text. Please answer, we need to talk. You're making a huge mistake. I can explain everything. Don't do this to us. She blocked his number. Then her mother called. Jasmine, what is going on? Marcus just called me crying, saying you filed for divorce. Is this true? It's true, Mama. He's been cheating on me with our neighbor for 8 months. He stole $70,000 from our savings. He was planning to divorce me and leave me with nothing. Her mother gasped. Oh baby, oh my sweet baby, I'm so sorry, what do you need? I need you to not answer Marcus's calls. He's going to try to use everyone we know to get to me. Don't let him. I won't, I promise. Do you want me to come over? Not yet, I'm handling it, but thank you, Mama. Next, Marcus's mother called. That conversation was less pleasant. Jasmine, how could you? Publicly humiliating Marcus at his workplace. Filing for divorce without even trying to work things out. Mrs. Sullivan, did Marcus tell you why I'm filing? He said you were having problems, but he's been having an affair for 8 months. He stole $70,000 from our joint accounts to spend on his mistress. He was planning to divorce me and leave me broke. Did he mention any of that? Silence. Then, there must be some misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. I have text messages, photos, bank statements, all the proof I need. Your son destroyed our marriage, not me. Marriage takes work, Jasmine. You can't just give up. I'm not giving up. I'm protecting myself from a man who was actively trying to destroy me financially. If you can't understand that, then we have nothing more to discuss. Jasmine hung up and immediately blocked that number too. By lunch, the story had spread through their social circle. Friends were calling, texting, taking sides. Some supported Jasmine. I always thought Marcus was too smooth, her friend Andrea said. I'm sorry you're going through this. Others were judgmental. Divorce seems extreme, another friend said. Maybe counseling. Jasmine stopped answering most of the calls. At 2 p.m., Trevor texted. Rochelle showed up at my construction site crying and begging. I had security escort her out. She's staying with her sister now. Good, stand your ground. She wants to talk, says she can explain. Don't. There's nothing she can say that changes what she did. Your lawyer will handle everything. Thanks, Jasmine. I don't think I could do this without knowing you're going through the same thing. We're in this together, they made sure of that. At 4 p.m., Attorney Mitchell called with an update. Marcus hired Thomas Brennan as his attorney. Jasmine recognized the name. Brennan was known for being aggressive, combative, expensive. Is that a problem? Not for me. Brennan's good, but he's working with a bad hand. Marcus's affair is documented. The financial fraud is documented. There's no way to spin this in his favor. Brennan will try to minimize the damage, but he can't make the evidence disappear. What happens next? Discovery. Both sides exchange information. We'll get Marcus's complete financial records. He'll get yours. Then we negotiate a settlement or prepare for trial. How long will this take? Depends on whether Marcus fights or accepts reality. Could be 3 months, could be a year. A year, an entire year of legal warfare. But Jasmine was ready for it. That evening, she went home to the house that felt empty now, even though Marcus's things were still there. Attorney Mitchell had advised her not to change the locks or throw out his belongings. It could hurt her case. So she lived in a house haunted by her husband's betrayal, surrounded by reminders of their fake marriage. But not for long. She'd already started looking at apartments, smaller places just for her, fresh starts. Her phone rang, an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered, "Hello. Jasmine, it's Marcus. Please don't hang up." She should have, but curiosity made her stay on the line. "What do you want?" "To apologize, really apologize. I messed up. I know I did. But please, can we talk, face to face, just once?" "No. I love you, Jasmine. I know you don't believe me, but I do. Rochelle was a mistake, a stupid, terrible mistake. But you're my wife. That has to mean something." It did mean something, past tense. You threw it away when you chose her. I didn't choose her. I choose you. I choose us. You spent 8 months with her, Marcus. 8 months of lies. You don't get to choose me now just because you got caught. Please, one conversation. Give me that much. Jasmine thought about it. Part of her wanted to hear what he'd say, to hear him grovel, to watch him try to explain the inexplicable. But the smarter part of her knew it was a trap. He'd try to manipulate her, make promises, play on her emotions. She wouldn't give him that power. "No, Marcus, we have nothing to say to each other. Talk to your lawyer." She hung up and blocked that number too. Then she poured herself a glass of wine, sat on her couch, and let herself feel everything she'd been holding back. The pain, the betrayal, the rage, the grief for the marriage that never really existed. She cried for an hour, hard, ugly, soul-deep crying that left her exhausted and empty. But when she was done, she felt cleaner somehow, lighter. She'd loved Marcus, or at least she'd loved who she thought he was. But that man was gone. Maybe he'd never existed. Now there was only the enemy, the man trying to steal from her, the man who'd betrayed her in the worst possible way. And Jasmine was going to make sure he paid for every single lie. Over the next week, the legal warfare intensified. Marcus's lawyer filed motions trying to get the account freezes lifted. Attorney Mitchell blocked them. Marcus tried to access their house when Jasmine wasn't home. She had the locks changed and sent him a bill for it. Rochelle tried to contact Jasmine through social media, begging her to call off the divorce, claiming she and Marcus were in love and deserved a chance at happiness. Jasmine blocked her on every platform. Trevor's divorce was proceeding similarly. Rochelle was fighting for spousal support despite the affair. Her lawyer claimed she'd been a homemaker and deserved compensation. Homemaker, Trevor scoffed during one of their coffee meetings. She hasn't cooked a real meal in 2 years. All she did was spend money we didn't have. Marcus is trying the same thing, Jasmine said. His lawyer claims I'm being vindictive and unreasonable. that I should be willing to negotiate instead of demanding everything. Are you going to negotiate? Absolutely not. He stole from me. He lied to me. He tried to hide assets to cheat me out of what's legally mine. Why would I negotiate with someone like that? Trevor raised his coffee cup to not negotiating with thieves and liars. Jasmine clinked her cup against his, to justice. As they sat there, two betrayed people united in their desire for revenge. Jasmine felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Not for her marriage, that was dead and buried. But hope for her future, for justice, for coming out of this nightmare stronger and better. Marcus had tried to destroy her. Instead, he'd forged her into something harder, something that couldn't be broken. And she was going to use that strength to take him down. 4 months after Jasmine filed for divorce, she sat in a conference room at the Cook County Courthouse, watching Marcus squirm. His lawyer, Thomas Brennan, was presenting their evidence, trying to paint Jasmine as a cold, vengeful wife who'd refused to work on their marriage, who'd overreacted to a brief indiscretion, who was being unreasonable about the financial settlement. Attorney Diane Mitchell sat beside Jasmine, calmly taking notes, letting Brennan dig his own grave. Because they both knew what was coming next. Marcus looked terrible. He'd lost weight. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His expensive suit hung a little loose on his frame. Good. Let him suffer the way she had. When Brennan finished his presentation, the mediator, a stern woman named Judge Barbara Chen, looked at Attorney Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell, your response. Attorney Mitchell stood, pulling out a thick folder. Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence that contradicts nearly everything Mr. Brennan just said. She laid out the text messages first, hundreds of them, printed and organized by date. The mediator's expression grew colder with each page. These messages show an affair lasting 8 months, Your Honor. Not a brief indiscretion, as Mr. Brennan claims. Mr. Sullivan and Mrs. Hayes conducted a systematic, long-term affair that included renting a separate apartment, taking vacations together, and planning a future that deliberately excluded both of their spouses. Next came the financial records. Over $73,000 in marital funds spent on this affair, Your Honor. Expensive restaurants, hotels, jewelry for Mrs. Hayes, the apartment lease, a trip to the Bahamas that Mr. Sullivan told his wife was a business conference. Attorney Mitchell pulled out bank statements highlighted in yellow. Additionally, Mr. Sullivan transferred $45,000 to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands without Mrs. Brooks's knowledge or consent. This was a deliberate attempt to hide marital assets in preparation for divorce. Marcus was pale now. His lawyer whispered something to him urgently. Finally, Attorney Mitchell said, we have evidence that Mr. Sullivan was planning this divorce strategically. Text messages where he discusses timing, where he tells Mrs. Hayes that he's moving money where Jasmine can't touch it, where he explicitly states his intention to leave Mrs. Brooks with almost nothing. She placed the final document on the table. This is fraud, Your Honor. Deliberate, calculated financial fraud against his spouse. Judge Chen looked at Marcus with open contempt. Mr. Sullivan, is this evidence accurate? Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, looked at his lawyer helplessly. My client declines to answer at this time, Brennan said stiffly. I'll take that as a yes. Judge Chen made a note. Ms. Mitchell, what is your client seeking? Mrs. Brooks is seeking the house, 70% of all marital assets to account for the money Mr. Sullivan dissipated and attempted to hide, full reimbursement of all funds spent on the affair, all legal fees paid by Mr. Sullivan, and spousal support for 5 years. Brennan shot to his feet. Your Honor, that's excessive, my client. Your client, Judge Chen interrupted coldly, committed fraud. He systematically stole from his wife and attempted to hide assets. He's lucky Mrs. Brooks isn't pressing criminal charges. Ms. Mitchell's terms seemed more than fair given the circumstances. She looked at Marcus. "Mr. Sullivan, I strongly suggest you accept this settlement. If this goes to trial, I guarantee the judge will not be sympathetic to a man who cheated on his wife, stole from her, and tried to defraud her in divorce. You will lose, and you will lose badly." Marcus looked like he might be sick. "We need time to consider," Brennan said. "You have 48 hours, Judge Chen said. "After that we proceed to trial. This mediation is concluded." As they filed out of the conference room, Marcus tried to approach Jasmine. "Can we please just talk for?" "No," Attorney Mitchell said firmly, stepping between them. "Do not speak to my client. All communication goes through me." In the hallway, once they were alone, Attorney Mitchell turned to Jasmine with a satisfied smile. "That went well." "He looked destroyed," Jasmine said. "He should. He's about to lose everything, and it's his own fault." That evening, Jasmine met Trevor for their usual coffee. He looked lighter than he had in months. "Rochelle signed the papers," he said. "My lawyer got her to agree to everything. No spousal support. She gets her personal belongings and her car. I keep the house, the savings, everything else." "That's amazing, Trevor." "She didn't have a choice. My lawyer threatened to bring up the affair in court, show how she'd been financially irresponsible. She caved. Her lawyer probably told her she had no chance of winning." "Marcus is being stubborn," Jasmine said. "But Judge Chen basically told him to take the settlement or get destroyed in court. I think he'll cave too." "To new beginnings," Trevor said, raising his coffee cup. "To new beginnings." As they sat there, Jasmine realized she was actually happy. Not fake happy, not pretending happy. Actually, genuinely happy for the first time in months. Her career was thriving. Her new apartment was beautiful. She had real friends who supported her. And Marcus was finally going to pay for what he'd done. "Can I ask you something?" Trevor said carefully. "Sure." "Are you dating anyone?" Jasmine blinked, surprised. "What? No, I'm still legally married and going through a nightmare divorce. Dating is the last thing on my mind." "I didn't mean," Trevor held up his hands. "I wasn't asking for me. I just wondered if you were ready to think about the future yet, beyond the divorce." Was she? Jasmine thought about it. A few months ago, the answer would have been an absolute no. She couldn't imagine trusting anyone again. Couldn't imagine opening her heart to another person who might destroy her. But time and therapy had softened that. "Maybe someday," she said, "when this is all over, when I've had time to heal but not yet." "Fair enough." They talked for another hour about everything and nothing. About their plans once the divorces were final. About the freedom of starting over. When Jasmine got home to her apartment that night, she felt peaceful, content. The war wasn't over yet, but she could see the end, and victory was close. 2 days later, Marcus's lawyer called Attorney Mitchell. "My client accepts the settlement terms." Just like that, complete surrender. Jasmine almost couldn't believe it when Attorney Mitchell called with the news. "He's giving me everything I asked for." Everything. The house, 70% of assets, reimbursement for the affair spending, legal fees, spousal support. He signed this morning. Why give up now? Because Thomas Brennan is a good enough lawyer to know when his client has no chance of winning. Going to trial would cost Marcus another $50,000 in legal fees just to lose worse than the settlement I offered. This way, he at least avoids the public humiliation of a trial. When is it final? 60 days. The judge will review the agreement, make sure everything's in order, and sign the decree. Then you're officially divorced. 60 days. 2 months until she was free. Jasmine hung up and sat in her apartment, letting the news sink in. She'd won. After months of strategy and patience and playing the long game, she'd actually won. She called Kiara immediately. "He signed, it's over. I won everything." Kiara screamed so loud Jasmine had to pull the phone away from her ear. Yes. Oh my God, yes. We're celebrating tonight. I'm taking you out. Wear something fabulous. That evening, Kiara took Jasmine to the best restaurant in Chicago, a place Marcus had never taken her to, but had taken Rochelle to 3 times according to the credit card statements. To victory, Kiara said, raising her champagne glass, and to never settling for less than you deserve again. To victory, Jasmine echoed. As they ate and laughed and celebrated, Jasmine felt a weight she'd been carrying for months finally lift. She was free, not just legally, but emotionally. Marcus no longer had any power over her. The next few weeks passed in a blur of legal paperwork and logistics. Jasmine officially took ownership of the house. She immediately put it on the market, Too Many Bad Memories. It sold within 2 weeks for $50,000 over asking price. Marcus moved out of the hotel he'd been staying in and into a small apartment across town. Jasmine heard through mutual friends that he'd been demoted at work. His company didn't appreciate the scandal or the distraction of his messy divorce. Good. Rochelle and Trevor's divorce was finalized first. Trevor threw a small party to celebrate his freedom. Jasmine attended and watched him smile, really smile, for the first time since this whole nightmare began. To new chapters, Trevor said, clinking his beer bottle against Jasmine's wine glass. To new chapters. As they stood on Trevor's back deck looking at the stars, he said, I never thought I'd get through this. When you first showed me those messages, I wanted to fall apart. But you showed me it was possible to survive this. More than survive, to win. We helped each other, Jasmine said. I couldn't have done it without you either. Having someone who understood, who was going through the same thing, that made all the difference. What are you going to do now that it's almost over? Live, Jasmine said simply. Really live. Not just survive, but thrive. I'm going to travel, focus on my career, spend time with people who actually value me, figure out who I am outside of being someone's wife. That sounds perfect. 6 weeks after Marcus signed the settlement, Jasmine went to a marketing conference in New York City. She gave a presentation on digital strategy that received a standing ovation. Afterward, she was networking during the cocktail hour when she heard a familiar voice. Jasmine Brooks, is that really you? She turned to see Cameron Price, someone she'd worked with years ago at her previous company. He'd been a junior account manager then. Now, judging by his confident demeanor and expensive suit, he'd moved up in the world. Cameron, how are you? Better now that I've run into you, he said with a warm smile. You look incredible. That presentation was brilliant, by the way. They talked for 20 minutes, catching up on their careers. Cameron was now a senior VP at a competing firm. Successful, accomplished, and Jasmine couldn't help but notice, single. Would you like to grab dinner? Cameron asked. Catch up properly. There's a great Italian place around the corner. Jasmine hesitated. Was she ready for this? Even just a friendly dinner with someone who happened to be an attractive, successful man. Then she thought, why not? Her divorce would be final in 2 weeks. She was free. She was happy. Why shouldn't she enjoy dinner with an old friend? I'd like that, she said. Dinner turned into coffee the next morning before their flights home. Coffee turned into texts over the next few weeks. Texts turned into a dinner date back in Chicago. Cameron was everything Marcus wasn't. Honest. Straightforward. He asked about her divorce directly, didn't dance around it or pretend it didn't exist. That must have been incredibly difficult, he said over dinner at a cozy French restaurant. I went through something similar a few years ago. My ex-wife cheated with my best friend. I thought I'd never trust anyone again. How did you get past it? Jasmine asked. Therapy, time, and eventually realizing that what she did said everything about her and nothing about me. I wasn't the problem, she was. Jasmine nodded. My therapist has been saying the same thing. It's hard to believe sometimes. It gets easier, Cameron said. And eventually you realize you're better off, stronger, you know what you won't accept anymore. They talked for 3 hours, about their careers, their pasts, their hopes for the future. When Cameron walked her to her car, he didn't try to kiss her, just squeezed her hand gently. I really enjoyed tonight, Jasmine. I'd like to do it again. But I know you're just coming out of a difficult situation. So no pressure. We can take this as slow as you need. His patience and respect made her want to see him again even more. I'd like that, she said. Let's do it again. The final divorce decree arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Jasmine was at work when her assistant brought in the envelope. She opened it with steady hands and read the official document. The marriage between Jasmine Marie Brooks and Marcus James Sullivan is hereby dissolved. It was over, officially, legally over. She felt tears prick her eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief, of freedom, of victory. That evening she had a small gathering at her new apartment. Kiara, Trevor, a few close friends who'd supported her through everything. To Jasmine, Kiara said, raising her glass, who took the worst betrayal and turned it into her greatest comeback, who refused to be broken, who fought and won. Everyone cheered and drank. As the evening wound down and people started leaving, Trevor pulled Jasmine aside. I heard through the grapevine that Marcus lost his job, he said. Jasmine raised her eyebrows. Really? His company found out about the offshore account and the financial fraud. They did their own investigation. Apparently, if he was willing to steal from his wife, they couldn't trust him with client money. They fired him last week. Jasmine should have felt satisfaction, victory, joy. Instead, she just felt nothing. Marcus's downfall no longer mattered to her. He was no longer relevant to her life. His failures weren't her concern anymore. That's his problem now, she said, not mine. You really have moved on, Trevor observed. Completely. After everyone left, Jasmine stood on her apartment balcony, looking out at the Chicago skyline. The city lights twinkled like stars. The night air was cool and refreshing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Cameron. Hope your celebration was wonderful, thinking of you tonight. She smiled and texted back. It was perfect, thank you. A year ago, she'd been a woman living a lie, married to a man who'd betrayed her, trusting someone who was systematically destroying her. Now she was free, successful, surrounded by people who actually cared about her, and maybe, just maybe, ready to open her heart again. Not to someone like Marcus, never again to someone like Marcus, but to someone honest, someone kind, someone who saw her worth. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, Jasmine ran into Marcus at a coffee shop. She was there with Cameron, laughing over something he'd said, when she looked up and saw her ex-husband standing in line. Marcus looked worse than the last time she'd seen him, thinner, older, worn down by life. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither moved. Then Marcus walked over. Cameron tensed beside her, but Jasmine put a hand on his arm. It was fine. She was fine. Jasmine, Marcus said quietly, you look good. Thank you. I just wanted to say, he swallowed hard. I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but you deserve to hear it. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was selfish and stupid. You deserved so much better. Jasmine looked at him, really looked at him, and felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no pain, no satisfaction at seeing him brought low. Just indifference. Thank you for saying that, she said. I hope you figure out whatever's broken inside you that made you think what you did was okay. I hope you become a better person. But Marcus, that's not my concern anymore. You're not my concern anymore. Marcus nodded slowly. I understand. I needed you to know that I messed up, that losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. Goodbye, Marcus, Jasmine said gently but firmly. He walked away without another word. Cameron looked at her with concern. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect," Jasmine said and meant it. "That man has no power over me anymore. He's just someone I used to know." That night, as Jasmine lay in bed in her apartment, she thought about how far she'd come. A year ago, she'd been devastated, broken, standing in her hallway listening to her husband plan her destruction. Now she was whole, strong, free. She'd taken the worst betrayal of her life and turned it into an opportunity to rebuild herself better than before. Marcus had tried to destroy her. Instead, he'd forged her into something unbreakable. And that, she realized, was the real victory. Not the house or the money or the settlement, but the fact that she'd survived, that she'd refused to let his betrayal define her, that she'd come out stronger. Her phone buzzed with a text from Cameron. "Thank you for letting me be part of your life. You're remarkable, Jasmine Brooks." She smiled and texted back, "Thank you for seeing me, really seeing me." As she drifted off to sleep, Jasmine felt genuinely at peace. The war was over, she'd won. But more importantly, she'd reclaimed herself. And that was worth more than any settlement, any revenge, any victory in court. She was free, she was whole, she was happy. And Marcus Sullivan, the man who tried to steal everything from her, had ultimately given her the greatest gift of all. He'd shown her exactly how strong she was. And she'd never forget that lesson again. When someone betrays you, you have two choices. Let it break you or let it make you stronger. Jasmine chose strength. Your value isn't determined by how someone else treats you. It's determined by how you treat yourself. If this story moved you, inspired you, or helped you see your own strength, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more powerful stories about overcoming betrayal and finding your strength. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.